Hi, everyone, and welcome to our third Sitecore Summit series. For those of you joining us for the first time, the focus of our Summit series is a specific topic within Sitecore, and then we get a SME on that topic to converse with me. And I'm your host, Jana Baumgartner. I'm a three-time Sitecore Strategy MVP, and I'm super excited because today our topic is the case for Content Hub. And I live in the personalization world where content can be the maker or breaker between, getting to the next level in terms of customer experience and telling an emotional story. And when you don't have the ability to create content, it creates this dichotomy of not being able to then have a great customer experience. And I am joined today by the amazing Corey Solly from Sitecore, who is absolutely the expert and SME on Content Hub. And I know at RDA, when we have any Content Hub questions or demo requirements, she is the first person we pick up the phone and call. So Corey, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, yeah, thank you. Yeah, my name is Corey Solly. I am the Sitecore Content Hub sales specialist here. I'm out of Chicago. Been at Sitecore just over 2 years. Actually, I was the first hire that they had after the acquisition of Content Hub from a company called Style Labs. So yeah, I'm a veteran from that perspective. I've been in the MarTech space 15 plus years, really focusing on helping kind of the business side of organizations solve problems with technology. And this has been, honestly, the most fun solution that I've sold in a very long time, because it really is, every organization has these problems and it's a really good solve for them.
That's great. Yeah, I love Content Hub. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what is a Content Hub for those of us who have never used a Content Hub, don't know what that means?
Yeah, I mean, think of it as it's meant to be a single source of truth for any content that's important to your marketing organization. So it's file-based content like, digital assets and, PDFs and videos and things like that. It's product content, it's service content, it's textual content. You can create your, blog posts, social media, email, all directly in. And so rather than having all these different systems and doing different things in offline, online, different places of trying to create and manage all that content, you do it all in Content Hub, which is upstream from any particular channel. And then you're able to, we talk about it later, but really keep that brand consistency going and then distribute it to whatever channels you need.
That's great. I don't want to steal your thunder, but the last time we spoke, you talked about how a Content Hub is the heart of a marketing team, and that really spoke to me. Like that. Yeah. That's where the blood flows from for everything that you do as a marketing organization.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. So Sitecore has a lot of different products now, including Content Hub. How does the Sitecore CMS and DXP world, how does that work with Content Hub? Do you need one for the other? And how, where does one end and the other begin?
Sure. I mean, the term DXP is pretty broad, right? It's digital experience. So you could think of Content Hub as being part of a digital experience initiative program, which includes CMS. It includes Content Hub. It includes e-com. It includes personalization and maybe a CDP and things like that, right? Email marketing. That's kind of the universe. Content Hub itself is what's important about Content Hub is that it sits upstream from any particular channel, right? A CMS is a channel, it's a website channel, but for marketers, if there's marketers on, you know better than I do that that's just one channel, right? You've got lots of other channels that you've got to deal with. So Content Hub sits upstream from that. We're integrated to our own CMS, obviously, but we're also integrated to other CMSs. So I think that's an important concept, is that we are independent from any one particular CMS.
Yeah, so if our customers or our attendees don't have Sitecore and have no intention of purchasing Sitecore as a CMS product, they can still purchase Content Hub for that requirement and that need.
And we have a number of clients that use other CMSs.
Great. Okay, cool. Well, Corey, why don't we get started, and why don't you help us make the case for Content Hub?
All right, we'll do. Thanks, Jana. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me know if you can see it now.
Yeah, yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so I'm going to walk through kind of a series of slides here that really sets up what the content crisis is, how Content Hub can help solve that, and actually show you a specific case study and with some real ROI numbers attached to it. So we talk about helping companies solve the content crisis. And first, what I really wanted to start with, what are some real numbers on the content crisis? So only 5% of marketers feel like they have a really good strategic approach to creating and managing all the content that you really that's really required now with organizations. Only 14% of content marketers feel like they have the right technology in place. Those that do feel like they have technology, only about half feel like they're using that technology appropriately. 69% said that while there's some systems, there's still quite a lot of manual work. And 66% basically feel like their primary need is to better use the technology that's there to manage content as an asset in their organization. So it's, there's clearly a lot of opportunity, a lot of work there.
Yeah.
And this is what the content crisis looks like in organizations of all sizes, across all industries. I oftentimes show this slide at the beginning of a presentation, and there's a lot of like laughter and like, how did you know? Because it's a universal thing, right?
Yes.
Duplicate content, duplicate data, data silos everywhere, workflows, a lot of offline processes, and you're collaborating both internally and externally, and difficulty finding things, and that all that really turns into a lack of brand consistency, which is important. And there's real costs to that. So, if you can't find something, you have to spend money to recreate it. You have to, if you can't find an image, you got to do another photo shoot or a video shoot, that kind of thing. If you license content that can only be used for up until a certain amount of time, and you use that later, those fines that can be real, and they can be significant. If you don't have brand consistency, you've got an erosion of your brand, which really does affect your revenue. So the content crisis isn't just about internal efficiencies. It really does translate into actual costs for the organization. The other challenge, and this is people on this webinar probably have this experience as well. It's very, very common for organizations to have teams that create and manage content at the channel level, right? You've got the web team creating and managing content. You've got the email marketing creating it, social creating it, and they're trying to recreate things the same way, right? They're trying to borrow, leverage from other parts of the organization. These create data silos of their own. So while there's some things that make sense to manage at the channel, our suggested approach is, if you're using content across more than one channel, pull it out of the channel and take a content first approach. So content, again, for Content Hub is anything that's important to your marketing organization. It can be an asset, it can be product content, it can be textual content. If you need it for your marketing communications, for your downstream channels, you can create and manage it in Content Hub. And we help with everything from the beginning of the process. So planning and ideation, creating and collaborating on that, like I mentioned, both internally and externally with your close partners, curating and managing that content, distributing it to different downstream channels, and then ultimately gathering analytics and performance information from those channels that we can aggregate back and put them into dashboards. So your marketing team understands what content is working, where isn't it working. Because performance that's always the big thing that everybody asks for as well. Like, how do I know if it was effective? And we've got both, APIs on both sides of this. So we can aggregate content from an upstream system. So for example, that your marketing organization needs access to. So for example, if you have a product information system or a PLM or master data management, that kind of thing, we can actually aggregate so that your marketing team can augment that product information and then use it in a downstream channel, because these other tools aren't really built for that. So a lot of times what happens is people will actually just use spreadsheets to start to add marketing copy, something that's needed in an e-com platform, for example. So those
Yeah, and you can imagine that each person is working in each of, like, different people are working in each of these different silos and not really, finding each other's content. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We also have this concept of atomic content or modular content. And the idea here is you want to create content in an ideal state. You're creating content in the smallest units as possible so that you can get them approved and you can get them mixed and matched, and being able to use them across different channels. I had one client recently ask if they could save their killer sentences in Content Hub, right? So like
what's a killer sentence?
Like these core messages that are really important, but
Gotcha.
they're small, right? They're just like, these are these core things. And that's really what Content Hub apps, that's the concept of atomic content. So that you have that, it's proved these are the messages that you want to make sure are punching out, and you're able to use them, add them to a social media post, add them to an email, that kind of thing. And since we're pulling the creation and management of content out of the channel, and we're centralizing it in Content Hub, you're going to have a lot of different people and a lot of different teams there. And we really help you manage that with really granular access rights and permissions. So just because it's one platform doesn't mean that anybody that accesses the platform can see and do anything, right? You could have an agency, for example, just being able to see and work on a campaign that they may be working on with you. You could have a particular division only see the content that's related to their business or their team or their brand, depending on how you organize this. And I thought I would show a handful of just screenshots here, just to give you a little bit of a taste of it. So we've got this really nice view, and you can actually configure it in different ways. What we call a strategy board, where you can really see your content, where it's being created, like in this case, where the audience is, what the medium is, where you can see where you're missing content, where you maybe have too much content. So you have a really good perspective on it in one location. And again, that can be changed depending on the user role that accesses Content Hub. I mentioned being able to have, a place that you're creating textual content. So if you're using a Word document and you're creating a Word document and you're emailing that around, maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's a white paper, press release, and you're emailing that around to people, that's actually a really good use case to translate into Content Hub. So instead of using those, what are really offline tools, we have an environment that's like a Google Docs environment where you can collaborate. At the same time, you can actually compare versions, and it's all structured content. So unlike a Word document, which is just a one piece of page, you don't know, what's in it really. Here, it's actually very structured so that you're able to map it to the different downstream channels that you're sending it to. Really nice collaboration tools. So for both textual content and assets, you can mark things up, create, comments, say direction on edits that you want. You can at people again, and we track everything, right? Who did it, what they did, when they did it. So you have this full, wonderful history of how a particular piece of content got to the finished state. And if you wanted to roll back to a different version, you can do that as well with the right permissions.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see those comments and on an image. It makes it very much like collaborating on any other piece of content.
Yeah, it's right there. It's having the historical record there. People really like that. And we help again manage all these different types. So products, assets, campaigns, textual content. Really, it's really this one place for all of that. And everyone knows that they need to personalize content. Content Hub is the place where you create all of that personalized content. That is one of the big challenges, right? People know they need to personalize, but creating all the personalized content can be really challenging for doing your A/B testing and all that. So we personalize it. You create the personalized content here. You do the personalization into the channel, but again, being able to actually measure the effectiveness of all of that, we can bring back that information into Content Hub for the marketing teams.
It definitely hits on my heartstrings for sure.
This is another view of Content Hub. It's the one that you talked about. You mentioned was the what I call being the heart of the marketing organization. I mean, this really sits in the heart of your MarTech stack. There's a lot of acronyms in the space: DAM, PIM, PCM, CMS, MRM, WTP. As much as everyone has a different idea of what these things mean, right? And as much as possible, we try and not talk in acronyms because those kind of create data silos of their own. But Content Hub really can help across all of these capabilities. I mean, again, kind of thinking about if you need to do it in your marketing organization, Content Hub is the place that you can actually, create and manage all of that information. And it's a very modern platform. It's aligned with a technology approach called MOC, which is a microservices, which is a very agile software development. So you can do very quick releases. And it's cloud native, so we're full SaaS, do all the hosting, storage, managed services for you, which honestly IT organizations love. I mean, they're massively overloaded, and having
Yes.
another piece of technology that they have to manage is not something that they want to do.
Yes.
We're also API first. So for any non-technical people on this webinar, basically that means if you see it in the platform, you can use it in an API in a downstream channel. It means that we developed the API before we created the product. So we created the product on top of our own API. So that's not true of all software companies. A lot of times people they'll create the code and then they add the API on top of it, and you invariably miss things in the product that you can't actually use in an API. With Content Hub you can. And then we also have a headless delivery mechanism. So you can actually use Content Hub to deliver to different, particularly some of the newer channels, thinking about like digital signage, kiosks, Internet of Things, things like that.
Very cool.
So this is the content crisis solved. You've got streamlined processes, a unified platform across all these different capabilities, a really nice way of collaborating internally and externally, and then being able to gather the analytics and feedback back into Content Hub.
Gosh, Corey, you make it seem so easy.
It is really, honestly, it is really nice. I mean, every organization is at a different stage of being able to do all of these things, right? And that's the thing that's nice about Content Hub too, is that you really can start, which we recommend, start small, start get some quick wins. And
Right.
as your as that maturity kind of grows, this is kind of that ultimate space that you want, where you really have this one place for all of your content creation. A little bit of validation from analysts in the space. With supporting our approach to omnichannel content creation and delivery. These are all Content Hub specific clients. So they're, as you can see, across industries, across sizes, but the Content Hub is really fundamental to the marketing part of these organizations. It's not just sitting in a department somewhere. We have quite a lot of experience, as you can see, helping organizations with this content crisis. I just have a little bit, my one last thing is want to kind of talk through this General Mills case study. So General Mills had the same problem as I'm sure a lot of people on this webinar have, right? Which is you're creating content, you can't find it, you're creating more than you need because you're not reusing what you have, and you're not able to repurpose. So that was really the goals of General Mills. And they use Content Hub as the heart of their marketing organization. So it is the hub at which all of their different channels are integrated. So they're able to, in this case, leverage the same assets across. They've got a lot of different microsites, so they're able to really easily leverage them across their different, the same assets across the different microsites. And they're also able to leverage them and repurpose them for other channels. So in this case, we've got some social, we've got email, different, Pinterest up here. So again, kind of this one place where you have all of that content that you're able to, reuse it. And they determined themselves that over the last 3.5 years, they've actually been able to save $1.8 million.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a great number.
Yeah, and it was something they came up with. I mean, they did the analysis themselves, because obviously every organization, but certainly one as large as General Mills, wants to be able to show a good ROI.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
That's
well,
it.
Thank you, Corey, so much for this presentation and this explanation for the case for Content Hub. Really quick, if you could tell us, what sets Sitecore Content Hub apart in the marketplace, and what is Sitecore's differentiator?
I mean, I think the number one differentiator is having this single platform across all these different capabilities, across all different kinds of content. We help with, we have help with having an editorial calendar. I mentioned the strategy board, but also along with that, product information that you can have, the digital asset information. So being able to have a single place for omni-channel content creation and delivery is unique in the space. Additionally, we have what we talked, one of our core pillars is freedom from folder structure, right? When you have a folder, you have to know where it lives, what it's called. Is a piece of content going to sit in this folder or that one? And if it's in both, then is that a duplicate kind of thing? So with Content Hub, we actually use a domain model and taxonomy so that you can use facets and searches to be able to get to your content within a couple of clicks.
Cool.
Another core pillar is we really wanted the platform to kind of be back into the hands of business people. So there's a lot of functionality in Content Hub that you can do in the configuration just in the UI that trained business users can do, that in other platforms takes a IT resource or even a solution developer code to do things. So from a long-term TCO perspective, ours is definitely better in that. And then, we're enterprise scale, which not all of the platforms are that out there, but you can, like I mentioned before, you can start as small as you need to start.
Cool. Very cool. All right. So before we leave today, just a few things. So here is a reading list of, of things you can check out after the presentation if you want to learn more about Content Hub. And this will be posted on the RDA website as well. And then for all of you attendees today, we are offering a free and customized Content Hub demo and workshop. And we will work with you to create this demo that's very specific to your website, to your process. We'll walk through your process with you, identify gaps, and then we will help you make your case for Content Hub specific to your organization. And we're here to get you started with those small chunks like Corey mentioned.
Perfect.
And then finally, our next Sitecore Summit Series session is on July 29th. And it's continuing down this topic called Inside Content Hub, and we'll give you a live demo. And Caridad here will be conducting that demo for us.
Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to meet with you on our next Summit Series, and hopefully I get to show you some of the cool features and functionality that Corey was describing today.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Caridad. And Caridad, can't wait to chat with you next time on our next Sitecore Summit Series. Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.